AI agents are everywhere, from chatbots to automated tools, but many BAs don't fully understand their design use cases and how to actually use them. By the end of this episode, you'll know exactly what an AI agent is, how it works, where it's used, and how you can leverage it in business analysis and beyond.
The Better Business Analysis Institute
presents the Better Business Analysis podcast with
Benjamin Walsh.
So what exactly is an AI agent? An AI agent is a system that perceives its environment, makes decisions, and takes actions to achieve a goal. So that's important. So we're talking about perception, we're talking about decision-making, and we're talking about actions to achieve something, which is a goal. So this is great because we love this kind of talk in BA. It's very process-focused and it's very goal-focused. Now, there are 4 types of AI agents, generally speaking. Number 1 is reactive agents, and that's probably what you're used to, or if you haven't really explored the world of AI too much. So that's responding to inputs, but they don't have any memory, okay? And if you get into AI, you'll realize that a lot of these AI tools don't have what we call state, so they don't remember what you asked it last time. And ChatGPT is usually the one that we always talk about, and that's got better at that. It will know about your preferences, but only if you're logged in. So an example of that would be a simple chatbot when you go to a website, okay? And that will be, they've been around for a while, and everyone should recognize that type, reactive agents. The second type are called goal-based agents. So they use decision-making models to achieve a defined goal. So that might be a recommendation system. You want to have recommendations for a book that you enjoyed based on other books you've read. So Amazon might use that, or Goodreads, which Amazon owns, might use that to generate recommendations for you. Then there's learning agents. Okay, and these are ones which improve over time using data. So that's really machine learning-based automation. And ChatGPT's got better at that. I know that it remembers a few aspects of me the more I use it, scarily, about what. But the length and the amount of information it stores on your previous chat history, and therefore your profile, if you like, it depends on the kind of chat bot you're using. And you usually find that a lot of these chatbots aren't set up that way for public use. And then the last type is autonomous agents. So they work independently with minimal, I should say, human intervention. So this is like AI-powered customer support all the way through. And so you've seen that again on call centers that are kind of set up for that. And the human is really not involved unless there's an escalation point. So they're those 4 base types of AI agents. Then we jump to the design of an AI agent. So the key components in BA talk are inputs, decision-making, outputs, and then learning and improvement. Okay, and that's the important one here if you want to know how AI is expanding. So input we call perception. So it's how the agent gathers data. And now I want you to open your eyes and look a little bit wider here. So we're talking about sensors, okay? So the whole Internet of Things, IoT devices, APIs, text learning. So that input is really important. So it's not human necessarily doing the input now. So this is where AI agents are changing how they interface with things, which is really important from an architectural point of view. And then there's processing, which is our decision-making point. And that's algorithms, machine learning models, or rule-based logic. So a lot of early AI, which we've had for many, many years, is kind of rule-based. Then we had algorithms, and now we've got machine learning models. Then there's the action or the output. So the what are we deriving from this process? And that's how the AI agent interacts with its environment, e.g. responding to users or triggering workflows. So both the input and output have been kind of standardized now with a AI agent such that it is an independent body and it can be kind of added on like Lego blocks to a greater architecture for building these kind of steps in our process, which are AI agent steps, which do a certain thing. And they can be to do, say, an Uber could have an AI agent. So it could manage the inputs, so not human inputs, and outputs to ordering an Uber automatically for you. So like if you think we could do that via humans or APIs, well, now the AI agent can do that based on inputs and outputs. So it can connect in. So it allows us to do scalable workflows across our day-to-day life. And then the last bit is the feedback loop. So learning and improvement. And that's how the agent improves through reinforcement or retraining. And this is really, really important. So we've talked about customer satisfaction, and we've talked about the fact that we take data points from our customers. Now, if that was instead of our whole team looking at that data, we're feeding that back into the AI agent. It's the idea is that it's going to improve and get better. So your experience with the AI agent last week may be different to this week because it's improved some factors based on real live data. And the architectures behind that, if you're interested, is there's rule-based versus machine learning versus hybrid. And then there's agent frameworks like OpenAI GPT, which is what we know as ChatGPT in terms of its interface. There's kind of a lag chain, and then there's AutoGPT. And there's other agent frameworks, but they're built specifically for what I talked about, that architecture for being able to connect to inputs and outputs. So let's dive in to the use cases for AI agents. We've talked about the fact that AI agents does cover some of the more simple use cases that you'll already be aware of. But I really want you to think about the kind of AI agents, which is kind of being this term has just come out, to think about some of these use cases where there isn't a human interface and there isn't necessarily, the output doesn't necessarily go back to a human, it goes to another AI agent, okay, and a linked kind of architecture. So we look at BA kind of applications for AI agents. Favorite, which is kind of automating the requirements gathering process through AI chatbots. So again, we're not talking to a human, we're using that customer feedback. There's the AI-powered stakeholder sentiment analysis, which we talked about last week, which is quite important, which is really sentiment drives decision-making. So if you understand psychology, then, it doesn't matter what people say on their face, the way they write things, language, body language, can generate sentiment, and that's really important for us, and that can be automated. And then, of course, it's the AI-driven process automation. So really, if you want to think about AI agents conceptually, think about them in terms of they are playing the role of each step in your process diagram. Okay, every time you could reuse steps. So, for example, sending an email could use Gmail AI agent. You might use that multiple times throughout your workflow to send notifications or draft emails, and think about the AI agent being one of those steps or nodes. Other business use cases, of course, are customer service bots, but getting much more advanced in terms of recommending preferences based on personal preferences. So it already knows what you shopped before, it already knows your size, it already knows what your taste is, and it's going to be, it's going to know you more than you might know yourself in terms of data points anyway. Then there's the AI agents in e-commerce. Again, it's the same kind of situation. One might be your customer profile, one might be your, if you like, consumer profile. And then there's AI in terms of data analysis and reporting. And we haven't seen that get to that tipping point yet, but you won't be writing your own dashboards. You might be, or you might be crafting them, but AI agents are going to do the vast majority of that work very, very soon, if not today in your company. And of course, we've talked about this before, the use case in terms of project management, in terms of risks and delays based on past projects. And of course, you never think of past projects, but AI agents can look at and see what mistakes have been made in previous projects and predict what risks and costs you might incur. So that's kind of some good use cases right now for you as a BA. Let's just talk about some examples of specific AI agents. And this is not a definitive list. And we did touch on this last week, so I'm not going to labor the point. But there's obviously the chatbots and virtual assistants, which is like ChatGPT. We can move on from that. But automation agents like UiPath, RPA robots, they've been around for ages to do repetitive tasks in your workflow. So that's like an AI agent. That's a really good way of looking at it. They're much more advanced than just that one tool that does that. Microsoft Copilot now on top of Azure and Microsoft Fabric will do your business insights. Okay. And Microsoft really pushing that. So that might be where we see some major changes in dashboarding in the future. And then there's kind of AutoGPT, Baby AGI, which are autonomous. So they will just problem solve. They'll just problem solve. You got to give them a problem, come back, I'll give you some solutions to some of those problems. So they're pretty cool. But I have seen, in addition to that, I think the idea is that, you know how we have an app model now, and this is my interpretation. So please come and comment on this post if you have a different interpretation. But the way I've looked at AI agents, or I've convinced myself this is the model in my brain, is that, you know how we had the app model, everything was an app, and we still kind of have that. So, Uber, you go to one app to do one task, one goal. Gmail, you go to do your email. It's the same concept, but without the UI aspect. So you've still got the UI, obviously, for those use cases where we want to interact. But the AI agent can send through, can have inputs and outputs to that use case, to that one app, if you like, quote unquote. And that's the agent. So the AI agent can take in information and output things without having necessarily the UI. So what would that mean? We talked about Uber before. So in an example today, you might travel for business. So you might travel to a country through a travel agent. And then when you get to the other side, you then load the Uber app, you go into your business account because you want to charge it back as an expense. And you call the Uber because you've just arrived and finish your trip, and it gets charged back to your business. So that point where I had to do the Uber steps, if you like, log into the app, do the rest of it, that could all be automated, and there wouldn't be any steps for me. So I would just land, and maybe there would need to be a trigger point, of course, which is why it's BA in process. The trigger point could just simply be, I have landed in that country. Maybe there is simply an order now step, and the AI agent would automatically know where I'm going based on another input, which would be my inventory. So it knows my hotel details, and it would automatically charge. So I wouldn't have to do the interface side of things. Maybe it's just order Uber now, for example, and it's just confirming your order Uber now. It might even do a push notification and say, oh, we've seen you've arrived in San Francisco. Would you like to order the Uber now? Or when would you like to order the Uber? Click go, and it already knows the details about where you're going, so it plugs those in. So you see what I mean? So it might use APIs to do that, or connectors, a chain connector to other AI agents. Maybe there's one that manages the whole trip, which is the travel agent, AI agent. So there we go. So that's the good example there of how it may be used. Now, finally, I'm just going, if you're interested in playing around with AI agents specifically, not just AI, then you can load some of these tools up locally. So you can load them up on cloud, hosted for $10, $20 a month, US generally, or you can load them up locally. And I would suggest that you do try and, if you're a technical BA, maybe you should try and configure an agent so you just understand that. to do one step. Maybe it's to respond to your emails or draft your emails for you, responses, so you can check them. And it just you'll just end up with a whole lot of draft emails that you can then check. So my final thoughts on this is that AI agents specifically, not just AI, are powerful tools for automation, analysis, and decision-making, and you can chain them together. I think you should experiment with AI in your BA work anyway, but now think about AI agents for doing one thing. Try and build a simple AI agent using free tools. ChatGPT will do it, OpenAI. You can run it locally as well, and just do one thing like automate your replies on your email. I hope you learned something about AI agents this week, and I will see you next week.